Who watched? Who watched the greatest World Series of our lifetime? Who watched Game 7 at the Rogers Centre in Toronto, Canada, where the Dodgers made a miraculous comeback? A miraculous comeback against the Blue Jays. And look, I want to say this up top because I know a lot of Blue Jays fans are sad. But I want to bring up a counterpoint. Dodgers fans had to wait 365 days for this moment. We needed this. You don't understand, man. We had to wait a year to be able to lift that trophy. That is pain that many fan bases don't understand. And if we don't three-peat, half the fans that show up to Dodger Stadium are going to stop being fans. So we need this shit. We need this shit. Lockout is coming next year. Yeah, I don't think... look, if we sign Skeens, maybe. Depends if we get greedy. But anyway, chat, I was at the game. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram, I've been spamming posts on Instagram detailing my adventures. Because this year, well, let's cut the bullshit. I did not stream in the month of October. Let's call a spade a spade. I said October might be a horror game month. I might try to go live every day or some shit. Didn't do that. Didn't even come close. I didn't even come close. I don't know how bad the damage is. I haven't looked yet. Let me look. Let me look at just how bad the damage is. I barely streamed. And the streams that I did do, for being candid, a lot of them were sponsored. Damn, about half the streams I did in the month of October were sponsored. Let's take a look. In the 30 days, I streamed 82 hours. I streamed 82 hours in the month of October. That is low. That is low. We can call that out. We can say that is low. Okay? Why? Why did I stream 82 hours when 30 hours were literally sponsored? I feel like I have two good excuses here. I feel like I have two good excuses. Excuse number one, there was a lot of drama. I'm not bringing it up. I'm just saying there was. Streaming was not as fun. I won't lie. It's not as hype. Two, there was Dodger baseball. All right. And so I think I must have gone to like 10 baseball games in the month of October alone. I went to so many games. I just kept going. And then it got addicting. I spent a ridiculous amount of money. I'm embarrassed to say the amount of money, but I spent a ridiculous amount of money on tickets. I don't want to say it. It's an Can I not just end it at an embarrassing amount? It's a lot. Okay? It's a lot. We'll get to it. Relax. We'll get to it. But anyway, because the series is so electric, I decided to impulse purchase tickets to Game 7. Now, I purchased this after Game 5 was lost. So basically, Game 5 was lost by the Dodgers. The Dodgers had to win Game 6 to take it to Game 7. So I bought the tickets to Game 7. The way that works is if the Dodgers had lost Game 6, then I would have been refunded my money. And if they won, I would have to go to Toronto to take the value of my ticket. All right, I impulse purchased it. And just the way that certain tickets work when you buy resale tickets is you have to buy them in pairs a lot of the times. Oftentimes they don't sell you individual tickets because it's harder for the seller to sell two individual tickets than wait for somebody who will buy both. So I bought a pair of tickets. And actually, the only person I wanted to bring, the person who I asked to go with, was the person who brought me to my first baseball game almost 20 years ago. 18 years ago, my mom brought me to a Red Sox game, July 4th, 2007. And I won't lie, okay, I think she had won the tickets in a raffle. I probably understood the game less than her at the time. And she was a French immigrant who had never watched baseball ever because baseball is not a big sport in France. It's just not. No, nobody's watching it. So I left that game not a baseball fan at all, saying baseball is the worst sport alive. Baseball is lame as shit. I was a why do people watch baseball guy. 15 years later, when I went to an Angels game in Anaheim, when I lived maybe 20 minutes away from the stadium, and I watched a mid-20s Shohei Ohtani do some crazy shit. Now I'm going to come clean. The only reason I liked Ohtani at the time was because he was a Japanese man doing electric shit. And I like Japan. I'm going to come clean. We know this is not a shock. This is true. I'll call a spade a spade. But I still didn't really watch baseball. until the trade happened. Not even the trade, I should say. The free agency happened. Now, Shohei went to the Dodgers. I've been going to a lot of games. I've had a lot of accusations come my way. I've had a lot of accusations come my way of bandwagon fan. Do I reject these allegations? No, fuck no, baby. I moved to Los Angeles. I've been here 8 years. I'm a Dodgers fan now, but I will be for life. I'll never leave now. They have me by the balls. What if Shohei signs somewhere else? Then they don't have me anymore. It is what it is. I'm following Shohei. It is what it is, man. No, I'm kidding. I would still be a Dodgers fan. So anyway, chat, I only started watching baseball last year. And then this year I went much deeper into baseball in the sense that I watched every single Dodgers game, like all 162 games through YouTube highlights. I watch every game, every night. And then I went to a bunch of games in person this year because I've had a soft goal that I will hit it next year. I'm convinced about it. I will hit next year. I have a soft goal of catching a home run ball. Ideally from Shohei Ohtani, but I'm not greedy. I would take Miggy Rowe if he's still playing next year. Will you get season tickets? Yeah, I will. You know what? Because not only would it like allow me to go to more games, it'd also just be cheaper. It would be so much cheaper. Brother, the amount of money I spent on Dodgers tickets this year is $100,000. It's a ridiculous amount of money. It's a ridiculous amount of money. I spent a gross amount. Because you got to understand, like, I'm going to One Piece night. I'm getting tickets for, 8 people. My mom's in town. I got her and her aunt, her friend and her, my aunt, 5 tickets to a World Series game. Like, I probably bought, 50 tickets. And then we're also talking about a lot of playoff tickets there, which is much more expensive. So anyway, I'm going to the World Series games. I went to every home game. I went to the 18-inning game. We talked about all that. And I got Game 7 tickets. Now, because tickets are, usually sold in pairs, I bought 2. And my idea was to bring my mother. And I'm going to come clean. These tickets were fucking expensive. I blew a check on these tickets. It's the most expensive thing I buy. It's more expensive than every car that I own. Each ticket was $20K. It was expensive. It was a pricey ticket. But it was front row behind the Dodgers dugout. And I was like, brother, it's a Game 7. When will this happen again? The answer is probably next year when the Dodgers go back to back to back. But I would have to wait a whole 365 days for that shit. So, let's live a little. Let's blow a check. And I tell my mom, my mom's like, yeah, I'm down to go. And I'm like, hell yeah. This is so cool. What a 20-year moment in the making. My mom brings me to my first game. I bring her to a Game 7 World Series game. She didn't have her passport. Now, I didn't know that they were going to go Game 7 before this. I expected 4-1. So I thought that the series was going to end at home here. She did not bring her passport when she traveled from, where we grew up, New Hampshire, to LA. So she could no longer go. So I sold one of my tickets and I went by myself. Now, here's the issue. You only know there's going to be a Game 7 when the Dodgers win Game 6. And Game 6 happened on Halloween. I was watching the game. And right after the game ended, which it was a pretty amazing game in its own right, right after the game ended, I bought my ticket. The issue is direct flights from LA to Toronto were virtually all sold out because so many people were traveling for this game. There's a limited amount of seats on the flight. So the only flight I could get, there's 2 options. One was a stop in Minneapolis, and then there's one flight from Minneapolis to Toronto, and I would get there at 3 p.m., but I have to wake up really early in the morning. And I was scared of this option because I was like, what if that flight's canceled and I'm stuck in Minneapolis? That would be a nightmare. I need to get a direct flight. So I go for a direct flight. The issue with the flight I got is that it landed at 7:15 Eastern. The game was scheduled to start at 8. Now, I did some research. The game actually starts 10 to 15 minutes after the scheduled start time because it's the World Series. And there is a shuttle every 15 minutes that takes you directly from the airport to the stadium. That's about a 30-minute shuttle ride. So I was like, it's going to be a bit risky. I might miss, top of the first, maybe bottom of the first, because there's going to be no traffic, right? Because I get to use this tram. but I should make it about on time. I get on the plane. I made sure to get to the airport early. I'm sitting there in my seat when the captain comes over the intercom. Just got word from air traffic control. Looks like it's going to be a 90-minute delay on this flight to Toronto. Do me a favor, folks. Just stay seated, seatbelts on. If you have to go to the bathroom, feel free. Keep you updated when I get into more news. Brother, this wasn't because of the government shutdown. This was Toronto's air traffic control telling us we could not land. It was Canada's fault. Because that was my first thought. Government shutdown, motherfucker, it's Donald Trump. I drafted a tweet. I had a tweet drafted. I was literally in the process of claiming a New York dead person's identity to vote for Mondami 10 times just because of how frustrated I was. When the pilot's like, clarification, this is YYZ Toronto Airport Air Traffic Control telling us no place to land right now. They've been slammed all day, so just stay seated and we'll take care of what we can. I was supposed to arrive on time, possibly late. 7:15 landing, 30-minute ride to the stadium. The game's supposed to start at like 8:10-ish. So yeah, I might make it a bit on time. My flight landed at 9 o'clock. The game started at 8. Now, I have one small positive that I would like to give to Air Canada, which is their plane Wi-Fi is phenomenal. Because I was able to stream the game on my phone with YouTube TV with no interruption. I was mind blown. This brings up my second problem. And it's something a lot of you guys have probably experienced today. If you watch Monday Night Football, fuck YouTube TV. Because the second we crossed the border from the north part of New York to the south part of Canada, I get a black screen, and this is 15 minutes into the game, that says not available in your territory. Son of a bitch. Fuck. I couldn't watch the game because I was now in Canada, and you need Sports Network or whatever, Sportsnet, if you're going to watch the game in Canada, as opposed to in the States, you get YouTube TV or whatever it is. Now, I'm doing this on my phone. I don't have like a VPN ready to go. Maybe I could have gotten one, but I wasn't savvy enough to figure that out. So I didn't have a fucking VPN. I'm just sitting there. Now, I tweeted out, I was posting on my Instagram story throughout all this. And I said, someone give me a link to like a place where I can watch this. And I get a bunch of links to, I'm not gonna dox them, but the usual suspects for watching illegal pirated games. Okay? But if you've ever gone on one of these websites, you know that what happens is you click the link, there's a play button. You click the play button, and you have 3 ads come up. One for gambling, one for porn, one for AI or some shit. And I'm on a plane, bro, and I'm doing this, and I'm getting so much porn pop up. And I just because I was panicking because I wanted to watch the game because I was in the middle of watching it, I opened up the link, and I had my volume on. Okay, I had my volume on, and now I'm listening to porn on the plane. And that's not okay to do. So I fucking panic. I close my phone. I'm like, okay, I need something else. Which is when I will say I discovered the greatest Twitch stream of all time. You see, one viewer linked me a Twitch stream, and I'm not going to dox the streamer. I'm just going to show you. This is how I watched the World Series game. I was watching it on Twitch on my phone. And you know who's in the chat with me? Tens. Tens was in the chat with me. And the guy's title was literally like Dodgers versus Blue Jays. I was like, bro, change your title. And then everyone started spamming, change your title, change your title, change your title. So this is the title of the stream that I watched. It was just stream with Tens. So me and Tens are watching this. And finally, we land, and I discover how fucking far we are from the exit of the airport. The Toronto airport is massive. And there's not just me, there's like a few guys on this plane who are going to the game with the same plane I did. And we all met up at the front of the plane because we like, you ever see those videos, which is speed running, exiting the plane? We all did that meme. All right, we're all sitting there. Pilot's like, please wait for the seatbelt sign before you get up. Make sure your seatbelt is fully strapped as we taxi in. And then it goes boom. And then all of us went, and we ran to the front. We were 3 guys at the front. It was me, this blonde Canadian dude, and this American dude. And we're all looking at each other, and we're like, you going to the game? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to the game. And then we're all like, want to split a cab? And he's like, absolutely. Follow me. That's what the Canadian guy says. He says, follow me. And then the gate opens, all right? And we start fucking hauling ass.
Running quick.
We're hauling ass. But something starts to happen when we're hauling ass. We start to notice, me and the other American, that this Canadian motherfucker's got legs. He's got a backpack on, and I'm falling behind. I Peloton every day. He must have like lapped me or some shit. I lost sight of him. And then it's not like I'm pretty fit. I'm not like fucking speedy or anything, but like I Peloton every day. I couldn't keep up with this guy was running crazy style. So I lost that guy. So then it's just me and my American friend, and we get to customs. And I forgot about this. I didn't even think about this when I bought the flight. I have to go through customs because Canada's a different country. There's a huge fucking line. So what do? We cut the line. I come clean. I cut the line. I lifted the rope. There was like a rope that cut people off that went to like some section where a security guard was clearly just fucking off and nobody was going up to him. I cut and then I walked my ass through. I did do this. Do I feel good about this? Yes. Yes, I do. This is the World fucking Series. I'm not missing it, baby. I'm not missing it. I'm not a good person for this. But I'm calling a spade. This is typical American behavior. Okay? And we go through. The security guard. This is where I realized, by the way, I did not realize how French Canada was. Like, I know Canada has French as one of their national languages. And if you see a sign in Canada, it's always cluttered because they have to, like, I think legally put English and French on it. So every sign's ugly as fuck because there's so much text on it. But what they do, at least East Coast, is they say hello, bonjour. They say both. I thought the motherfucker was French, so I started speaking French to the guy. And the guy, the customs agent, looked taken aback. Because I think for him, I realize now for him, he just says hello, bonjour, because that's just the cutscene you're supposed to do every time because you're a government worker. Me, I thought he was like, I want to speak French. And I was like, all right, let's do French. Because of that, it slowed me down in customs because he's having to think back to, I guess, like 11th grade on his French words. I'm having to figure out how to say my passport number in French. I lose my American friend now. I am now by myself. Meanwhile, this whole conversation is happening. I'm one ear AirPod in with the game. Okay, eventually, he lets me through. I go into the first taxi that's in line. As I'm getting into this taxi, I hear this call. I'll just play it for you guys. I hear this call.
Fly ball deep center. Edmonds going back. The ball is going long. 3-run home run. Bo Bichette.
That's what I hear. And I get in. I get into the Uber. And I have just the biggest Blue Jays fan of a taxi driver. And he's got the game on his radio. And the issue is I can no longer watch the Twitch stream because the Twitch stream is delayed 10 seconds. So the radio is telling you what's happening before the stream will show it to me. So I start listening to the game like it's, like it's the damn 70s or 60s or whatever. So I'm listening to the radio broadcast, and the guys, the taxi driver's like, still 0-0, huh? And I'm the one, because I got in the car before him. I'm the one that has to be like, no, it's actually 3-0. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, Bo Bichette just hit a home run on Shohei. And he goes, Shohei? Isn't that supposed to be the pride and joy? And I'm like, yeah, he hit a homer on him. Wow, you going to the game? And I was like, yes, I'm going to the game. He's like, you're late. I'm like, I know I'm late. And I'm fucking upset. And part of the reason I'm upset is because my ticket was very expensive. And I did not want to spend all that money on the ticket. I've also had a problem lately that I've been very open about, which I've been gambling too much. So I decided to do one final bet. And I did it before the game started. I did my final bet. I went all in. I went all in on the Dodgers winning. And you have to bear in mind, I did it with bad odds. I did not do it with 1-to-1 odds. I did it with like a little better than 3-to-2 odds or 2-to-3 odds. Don't encourage this. I'm not encouraging this. To be clear, today I pulled all my money off of Robinhood. I'm clean. I actually followed through. I pulled all my money off of Robinhood. It's a dog shit app. I'm deleting the app. I pulled it all, but it's been very hard for me to avoid the temptation of gambling. So I put it all in one game of baseball. So the max you can bet depends. Simply put, you can't get more than 50,000 shares of something. So the value of my bet was 30,000 to win 50, something like that. It was a big bet. It was basically the price of my seat. And I'm dealing with a lot of emotions because I can see in real time what the value of my bet is. And I'm going to show you real quick what the Dodgers' odds of winning the game was live after Bo Bichette hit a 3-run home run.
What's up, brother?
Because it changed pretty fucking rapidly from Dodgers being the favorite to holy shit, the Dodgers are not going to win this fucking game. I can't find the numbers right now, but it dropped to 85-15. Basically, there's an 85% chance based off of what the market thought that the Blue Jays would win. The Dodgers went from 57% chance favorite to 15%. Anyway, I get into the stadium at the exact moment
Jimenez, 2-2. Actually hits it.
that Robleski got into a little altercation. The bench is cleared.
Bench is clear in Game 7.
I got there while this was happening. So tensions got a bit high, right? I saw it phrased online as a brawl. This was not a brawl. This was, to be honest, a bit of an embarrassing overreaction from each team. I think the team was trying to have their teammates' backs, which I totally get. I think it was a bit of an embarrassing nothing burger, to be honest. They all kind of just got out of the dugout to stand there and then went back to the dugout. But whatever, it is what it is. Yeah, I'm sure it's something you have to do in baseball, whatever. I get it. And so then I go down to my seat, and I'm sure you guys have seen a couple pictures, but my seat is dead ass right behind the Dodgers dugout. Now, one thing I noticed quite quickly, there were not a lot of Dodgers fans who traveled to this game. In fact, the entire arena was pretty much just Blue Jays fans. There were maybe like 15 of us. I'm going to show you one clip to really highlight just how Blue Jays it was. And bear in mind, I'm in the away seat. I'm in the away section. But I think part of the issue is it's in Canada, which requires a passport. The tickets are incredibly expensive. The flights are incredibly expensive. It is not an easy game to go to. This is Miguel Rojas hitting a home run. Brother, nobody is cheering in my section. It's just me. Who's that girl next to you? She's who purchased the ticket that I sold. She's another Dodgers fan. And the moment I arrive, you know what she said to me? She says, "Thank God you're here. I'm glad I have another Dodgers fan." And, you know, I just brush it off. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. You'd probably want to have somebody else who's a fan. That way you don't feel so awkward cheering or whatever. I instantly get recognized. There was 3 guys next to me who go, "Ludwig, dude, I used to watch you." And I went, "Used to?" And he went, "Yeah, can I get a flick?" I went, "Yeah, sure." And then I go to watching the game. And you might have seen my tweet. I tweeted this out after the game. Got yelled at by a lady for wearing a Dodgers hat with a Japanese flag because, in quotes, did you forget World War II? Then I proceeded to watch a man named Yoshinobu Yamamoto pitch 3 electric innings, scared the Dodgers to a repeat World Series win and an MVP award. This tweet actually happened. I'm wearing the exact hat that I was wearing at the game. And a lady behind me, and I'm telling you, this is within 5 minutes of arriving. I've arrived. I've been asked for a picture by someone who says they used to watch me. I've been said, thank God you're here. And then I've been tapped on my shoulder. And I turn, and the lady's like, you had to take that hat off. I'm like, what? Why? And in my mind, I thought it was a joke because I had tried to buy a water at concessions, and the concession guy made the same joke. He said, I'll give you the water if you take your hat off. And I honest to God, thought there was facial recognition in Canada. So I did this. And he went, no, I mean, like, get rid of the Dodgers hat. And I was like, oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Duh. So I thought it was that joke again. So I was like, oh yeah, haha. And then she doubled down and she goes, seriously, how can you support the Japanese flag? And I was like, what do you mean? There's Japanese players on the team. It says Dodgers in katakana. And she's like, did you forget World War II? Now, I don't know what she thought she was cooking in the moment. I really don't know. Because first off, last I remember, it wasn't Pearl Harbor, Canada. 1. 2. This is 100 years ago. What the fuck is Yoshinobu Yamamoto have to do with that? And 3, I'm not about to start a shit-flinging contest when I'm from America. I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to, because we have flung a lot of shit. You know, we did good in World War II. That was a plus for us. We've had a lot of minuses after that. So it bothered me. And I think, usually I brush it off. I move on. That's what I usually do. But, Cutie, I think has changed me a bit. She's much more outspoken. If someone says some dumb shit, because I was at like a cafe with her, and someone was being rude to the worker, and we were just in line, and I'm fucking off and nowhere in my head, and Cutie instantly interjects and calls the lady rude for being mean to the worker. And the worker after is like, thank you so much. But like she does it. So I started doing that shit. But not necessarily even from a place of justice. I just thought what she said to me was genuinely the funniest thing I've ever heard. I thought it was very funny. And because I've been filming every moment, I'm not proud of this, but I pulled out the camera and I started filming. And I just heard the funniest thing of all time. This lady behind me said that she doesn't like my hat because remember World War II. Anyway, go Dodgers. And that changed the vibes pretty quick. Because then her husband starts getting involved. Because I'm still filming. Her husband's like, her husband's like, oh, now he's filming you. And so she hides her face. And I'm like, I don't know why you're hiding it. You said it. And he's like, you keep filming. We're going to have to fight. And then I was like, that's okay. I just think this is the funniest thing of all time. And you know what? I also instantly posted it. I instantly went to post it. And then I was like, okay, hold up. Let me cool down. Because you know what honestly changed me? It was like a little after this, we got our first run on the board. I was like, who gives a shit? I'm here for the fucking game. Let me channel all my energy into the Dodgers win. I deleted the clip, okay? Because it wasn't even a clip of her saying it because I wasn't even filming at the moment. It was just me after. And the moment the fucking camera goes on, she turned into like just a Victorian victim. Like, oh heavens me, I'm just a simple Blue Jays fan. So I'm like, whatever. I move on with the game. All right. And I'm watching more of the game. The game is electric. It is an electric game. It's stressing me out more than anything. I'm cheering my heart out. And I started to get along, because I need to say this, with everyone in my section. And they were all Blue Jays fans. I got along with all of them. I found out how much season tickets were in that area. Like the guy behind me, he said he had season tickets. They were like $40K a year. And I was like, motherfucker, you can make that back just selling your tickets to like one of the World Series games. And he's like, yeah, but I don't sell them. I like going to every game. What's the point of having a tickets if you sell them? And I was like, real ass fan right there. And then he told me the guy who owns my tickets, the ones I bought, has all 4 tickets behind the away dugout, sells them for every game, makes hundreds of thousands of dollars just selling his season tickets. It's crazy how much money he made. It might be genius, but I respect the guy who didn't make the hundreds of thousands because he just wanted to watch his team with the best tickets he could get. I think that's cooler. You know, making money's great, but I think that the beta scalper isn't as cool as the alpha fan. So the vibe lifts a bit, and the lady goes to do a toast with me after I have like a nice conversation with a group totally separate to her. And I turn to her, I go, I'm not toasting. I do not want to communicate with you. Let's just watch the game and may the better team win. And then she gets all fucking pissed and she goes to tap her husband because like she's mad at me all of a sudden. What did I do? I didn't do shit. Now, bear in mind, by the way, I heard, I think one or maybe 2 other people be weirdly racist about the Japanese flag on my hat. Let's be very clear about something, okay? Baseball is an international sport. Yes, there's a lot of great Americans. There's some good Canadians, okay? South America, Japan, okay? Some fucking, like, it is not a North American sport anymore. It's not 1935. The Dominican Republic clears. Korea clears. Even the Blue Jays, the Toronto Blue Jays, there's 2 Canadians on the team. And then there's like a Mexican, there's like 8 Americans. There's a Cuban. Like, I don't know why you're drawing the line at there being an incredibly talented Japanese player. It is not bad for the game that there's somebody who's from Japan, who's passionate about baseball, devoted their life to it, and good at the sport now. If anything, it's a good thing for the game. It's a overall good thing. It introduces new people to the sport. It's a very exciting time in baseball because of how many new fans there are, both domestically and abroad. And I don't think the goal of a baseball fan should be shunning any international players because they're from Japan, especially under the guise that in World War II, we had a conflict with Japan. It makes zero fucking sense at all. It makes zero sense at all. I want to be very clear, though, like, every other Toronto fan was awesome. Every other Toronto fan was fucking amazing. It was not, I don't think it was a Toronto issue. I don't think it was like a Canadian issue. I think it was these 2 people are obviously rich as fuck because I'm in a seat that costs like 10 plus K to be in. They're old as hell and they're fucking, you know, grumpy and racist. That's it. It is what it is. And so secretly, you know, I want my team to win for many reasons. I want my team to win because I've been watching every game. I'm, you know, just excited to see that happen, to be there. You know, I flew across to another country to see it. I wagered a lot of money. I also wanted them to win just so I could fucking stare at this lady as she walks away with her tail between her legs. I was feeling really petty. And if you didn't watch the game, holy shit. I was sad that I arrived late. I got there bottom of the 4th inning. There were extra innings in this game. It went to the 11th inning. Okay. I was there an hour late. I still got to see like 3 hours of baseball or whatever. It was insane. What was so shocking about being there, because I'd never been to an away game before, people, and this sounds obvious. What I'm going to say sounds really obvious. But to me, it wasn't obvious.
Cinema.
They really didn't want the Dodgers to win. Now, I know what you're saying. Obviously, they don't want the Dodgers to win. They're Blue Jays fans. But just every time I would cheer, the entire stadium would go quiet, and I would feel like I was cheering at the wrong thing. Like, this moment right here was the entire game for me. Because I would start cheering, and everyone would be quiet, and I kept thinking, like, oh, was it not a home run? Did I miss it? And it was like, oh, no, they just fucking absolutely want the Dodgers to lose and fall apart. I'm alone here. But yeah, I was losing it. I was cheering every 5 seconds. I had the fucking Ted Lasso on my phone. I was weeping openly. Kike Hernandez would walk back to the dugout. I'd be like, Kike, believe. You got this, Kike. Ohtani looked at me. Ohtani for sure looked at me. Because Ohtani goes up and I'm like, Ikimasho, Ohtani-sama. And he's like, no, 100%. I'm telling you, bro, when Yamamoto walked back 10th inning. Okay. Brother, we shared eyes. We shared eyes in that moment. But anyway, the real GOAT.
I think I was pitching today. Well,
Top of the 11th inning with 2 outs is Will fucking Smith.
Smith, it's a high fly ball to deep left field. It's got a chance. It is gone. It's Will Smith in Game 7.
There's me. There's me again. There's me again losing my mind. And the Dodgers end up winning. The Dodgers end up winning after being like absolute dogs with only like a 15% chance. They take it home, bottom of the 11th, extra innings. And you know the first thing I do after they win? I just turn around and stare at that lady till she walks out. I just stare at her as she walks her ass out of Rogers Center, bro. Yes, I am petty, yes. But fuck her, bro. Honestly, I think the karma she put in the world is why her team lost. I'm going to say it. Now, I will say the Blue Jays rule, like as a team. They're a very cool team. They're also a very sweet team. Their star, Vladdy, is a good guy. I don't know him, but at one of the home games at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles, he gave his gloves to like a random kid in my section who's had like a Dodger shirt on, which I thought was very nice. And they also, there's like one of the best pitchers in the Dodgers bullpen, Alex Vesia, who couldn't be there because he had like a family emergency. And so all the Blue Jays players in Game 6 had like his number 51 stitched onto their hats out of like respect for him, which I think was just a cool thing to do. It was just it's a very thoughtful, sweet thing to do. So the series was electric. And, you know, at first I was like, because, you know, when you walk out of the arena, I flew here directly from the airport. I didn't bring a bag. Everything that I was wearing is all that I had. Everything that was on me, like, was all that I brought. I did not bring a toothbrush. I didn't bring a change of clothes. I'm just bringing this because I can't go into the arena with a bag. You know, I have to make sure I have nothing on me. So I was like, oh, fuck. I'm going to be leaving the Rogers Center wearing a Dodgers jersey with a Dodgers hat, with a Dodgers jacket after the Dodgers just beat the Blue Jays. Like an actual fucking piece of shit. Like, oh my God, a drunk Toronto man is going to swing on me. They were so nice. Nobody chirped. They were all like, hell of a series. Hell of a series, Crody, eh? That's kind of what they sounded like. They were all incredibly sweet. And I was like, yeah. And they were like, sad about the ending. And I was like, yeah, it was, you know, obviously didn't go your way. He's like, but hell of a series, eh? And I was like, yeah, it was a great. They were more than gracious. They were sweet. I met like a couple fans too. All the fans that I met were awesome before and after. Even the guys who said I used to watch you after their team lost were like, hey man, it was still fucking great meeting you. What an awesome game we were able to be here for. Now I stayed after. The game ended. I stayed because I'd never been to, you know, a World Series game when your team wins. You stayed until 2 a.m. I stayed until 2 in the morning. I literally stayed until 2 in the morning. And what happens, if you're curious, is the Dodgers all go into their like dugout, and then they go into the changing room. They all put on the ugliest shirt ever fabricated by man, and then they all pour a ridiculous amount of champagne on themselves.
We got everybody's Mookie here? Shohei here? Mookie's working.
And then they walk back out to all take pictures with the trophy. It really is just one of the ugliest shirts I've ever seen in my life. On the back, it says Champions of October. This game took place in November. Look, I know they say October, but it just was November. And so while I'm staying there, there's a kid next to me. There's a kid next to me after the team wins, and he's asking everyone who walks by, because we're right in front of the dugout. Everyone walks by, says, "Can I get a ball?" This is a little kid. And here's the thing about little kids at baseball games: they're a broken superpower. They can just ask for shit and they get it, right? I'm sitting there, I'm like, "Hey, can I get a ball?" And it's like, "Ooh, HR." And then the little kid's like, "Can I get a ball?" And then it's like, "Oh, he's so sweet." And so he's trying to get this ball, And then I get called over. I hear like a voice, and it's like, "What do I?" I look over, and it's this girl. and she's sitting like in the behind home plate area, and she lifts up a ball to me, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna give it to the kid, and she's like, that kid's a scalper. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, that kid's for sure there with his dad just scalping that shit. I was like, all right. So I shoved that shit in my pocket. I walked by the kid. I don't say a fucking word to him. I go, hey, keep it up, sport. You'll get a ball eventually. Don't show him the ball. And then I'm able to, through this person who I don't know, sneak to the behind home plate section. She like asked the security guard lets me through. Now this is a viewer. Her name's Danny. And I did not know who she was. I was like, oh, it's a viewer who had like really nice tickets. And then like Mookie Betts walks out the dugout. And she's like, Mookie. And Mookie Betts turns around and he goes like, oh shit, yo, what up, Danny? And I was like, what's going on right now? Because that doesn't normally happen. I try, Ludwig from video games. Mookie doesn't look around. I'm like, okay. No, something's going on here. How do you have this much motion? I come to find out Danny is possibly the weirdest sports fan on earth. Her father has season tickets behind home plate. He has gone to, I think it's like 681 consecutive home games over the course of 10 years. An amazing streak. She goes to every single home game rooting for whoever is playing against the Blue Jays. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, I go to every game and I have the jersey of whoever the Blue Jays are playing that week. I was like, this is insane. This is crazy. She's like, yeah, it's what I do. I was like, that's insane. But because she's gone to so many games and because she has interacted with players, like some of the players recognize her and she has some broken strategies. If you were to watch very closely, Mookie Betts during the game was wearing a bracelet. It was like a Taylor Swift-esque bracelet. Danny made the bracelet. Apparently, broken tech, you can make a bracelet and then be like, hey, which bracelet do you want? And a lot of the players will just take one. They're kind of down. So she's making them all like custom bracelets. I'm like, damn, this is crazy. I don't know how she got this ball, mind you. I don't know where the fuck she pulled this out of. This looks like some fouled off ball or whatever. But I'm like holding the ball and I'm like, man, it'd be cool to have an autograph. As I say that, Blake Snell, who is the current highest paid pitcher this year on the Dodgers roster, you know, Snellzilla. You guys know Blake Snell. I see him because I hear him in conversation with Danny's dad. And brother, I'm not kidding you. They're talking like they used to go be in a frat together. Snell's like, yeah, good game out there. And then, you know, her dad's a Blue Jays fan. He's like, yeah, I cooked us those few innings. He's like, yeah. And I'm like, Sir Snell, could I perhaps have an autograph? And he looked at Danny for the okay. After that gave him the nod, then he signed it. I've never felt true aura till this. I mean, I don't mind if I'm getting mogged. I'm getting a signed World Series ball. And then I see Hae-Sung Kim. I learned a new strategy. You throw the ball at him. Broken strategy number 2. You say, hey, can you sign this? You throw them the ball. They catch the ball. You throw the marker. Boom, they're signing that shit. Broken strategy number 2. And I got Hae-Sung Kim. Breathtaking man, by the way. And that's how I got this World Series ball. That shit was awesome. So anyway, shout out Danny. I don't even think she watches my content, to be honest. I think she just knows who I am. I'll take it. I'm not greedy. But anyway, after the game ended, I realized I never bought a hotel. So I walked into the first hotel that I saw, and I was like, hey, can I get a room? And they laughed. They're like, fuck no. It's booked. And I was like, oh. So I did that like 3 times, and eventually I got into a hotel, and the guy who was working there, he was like, oh, shit, Ludwig? And I was like, yeah. Can I get a room? He's like, fuck no, we're full. But I can maybe find you a room at a different hotel. And they had like a sister hotel by the airport. So I got a hotel by the airport, which was sick anyway, because I had a flight early in the morning at like 10 a.m. And I ran into an issue that I want to fucking complain about, because I made a mistake, and I hope you guys never mistake it or make this mistake that I did. There are certain times where an airline offers a flight that is operated by a different airline. Never buy it from anyone but the people who are actually operating the flight. Let me give you the example. I bought an Air Canada flight operated by Air Canada through United Airlines. Why did I do this? Because I like turning points. I wanted to buy it in the app. I wanted to get my points for United Airlines. So I bought it on the United app. Okay. This is an Air Canada flight. I buy it on the United app. After I buy it, it says check in. I go to check in. It says you cannot check in. You have to check in through the people operating this flight. We're not operating this flight. I go, that's fine. I go to Air Canada's website. I say check in. They say you cannot check in. It looks like you purchased this flight through a different carrier. You have to go to that carrier. So I go to the airport, wake up. I stayed up watching T1 win. I was watching Worlds. I go to the airport. I'm there at like 8:45. My flight leaves at like 10. I have no luggage. I'm like, this should be fine. I stand in line because the kiosk doesn't work at the Air Canada line. I stand in the Air Canada line. This was my mistake. I get through the entire line, and at the very end of the line, they go, you're gonna have to go to the United line. And she just points to like across the way. So I go to the United line. A little bit of a line is formed. At this point, it's like 9:05. 20 minutes have passed. I'm like, whatever, should be fine still. I finally get through the United line. I'm like, hello, can I get my ticket? And she goes, you're on the 10 o'clock flight? I'm like, yes. She's like, impossible. What? She's like, you're trying to get your ticket, right? I'm like, yeah. She's like, impossible. Why? Well, your flight leaves at 10 o'clock and we don't print tickets within an hour of the flight leaving. What? I just need my ticket. I'll get through security. I promise. She's like, it's impossible. I'm like, what do you mean? It's impossible. I bought the ticket. It's possible. So then, not wanting to argue, she's like, they can rebook you over at Air Canada. She sends me back to the other fucking line. She says, go to Air Canada, they'll rebook you. I'm like, really? They'll rebook me? I ignore all this because I know how it actually works. There are useful people in an airport. They're at the gate. They're the only people at the airport who know what the fuck is going on. Everybody else is just trying to get the person in front of them out of their face. That's it. Okay? The only people who actually fucking know what the hell is happening and can actually make shit move live at the gate. So I buy a ticket that will bring me to my gate. This is genius. This is genius. I buy a ticket that'll bring me to my gate. So I get a ticket and it has free cancellation within 24 hours. I bought a random ticket and I go to the gate and I go, hey, can I get this ticket? Or can I get through here? And he goes, oh, no, you can't. This is section F. That's for section D. And I'm like, well, can I get through section F and then just go to section D? He's like, no. Because what I forgot, this is an international flight. And the section that I'm going in is technically America. Like, although all that separates section D and section F is a glass pane, you go through customs, so you are technically in America. So you're not allowed to be in section F if you're going on a section D flight or whatever. So I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So what flight could get me here? And I'm asking the guy, and he's like, a flight to New York. So I buy a flight to New York. I cancel the flight. I get my refund. I buy a flight to New York. I go, can I go now? He scans it. He goes, no, that New York one's section D as well. And I'm like, okay, what are you doing to me? He was like, yeah, it's the other New York one. I didn't know. It was the other New York one. Obviously, it's the other New York. Okay. So at this point, it's too late to make the flight. Now, luckily, there's like a noon flight. There's a noon flight. I can go into the airport as a walk-on if I get the noon flight. So I at this point, I've canceled every single flight. I've canceled all flights. I've gotten a refund on all of them, mind you. And I get one flight that I know gets me into section F. It's like some throwaway flight at 9 p.m. Okay. And I've looked and I've made sure it's in the correct gate and I'm walking through. And then while I'm walking through customs, they stop me. And the lady says, she goes, your flight is too late. Rebook it for an earlier one. I was like, what? Yeah. She's like, just go back there. They'll tell you. I'm like, what do you? So I go down. I'm like, I was told to rebook my flight for an earlier one. Apparently this has been long running beef. And because the guy goes, she's doing this shit again. And I'm like, and then he's like, come with me. And then I walk with him. And then he's like, what did I tell you? You have to let them through. Doesn't matter how late it is. And then she's like, you didn't tell me anything. So don't talk to me like that because you didn't tell me anything. And he's like, well, I didn't tell you, but I told your group. That's not me, is it? That's not me, is it? And he's like, get your manager. And she's like, oh, I've already got my manager. And then the manager comes up and he's like, so what's up? And then the guy's changed his tone. The guy started real tough. He goes, sorry. So I spoke with you and I several times about how you, and it's not her fault, but you need to train your agents that they have to let them through because he's allowed to be here for his late flight. And the whole time I'm sitting there like, I'm going to cancel this flight the moment I get through. This flight is going to Iowa. I'm sorry. But I don't say any of this. I'm just like, I'm going to Iowa at 9 p.m. I'm causing workplace ruckus. So I go through security. I go through customs. I am now technically in America. I am technically in America here. And then I go to the gate. And the issue is I got there at like 10 o'clock. The flight's at 12:45. My flight isn't at the gate yet. It's like a San Francisco flight at the gate. So I'm asking the gate agent, I'm like, hey, when are they going to be here? Like for my flight. She's like 11:45. So I'm like, all right, whatever. So I go to Tim Hortons. It's pretty good. I come back. I wait. 11:45 hits. During this time, I know that I said I was done gambling on Robinhood. I bet on every single NFL game $100 to see how well I actually was or how good I actually was at gambling. I bet on all the Sunday and Monday games. I bet $100 on every single one. I have since pulled out all my money from Robinhood and deleted the app. It was my final bet. How'd it go? I made like a 90% return. So for like the 16 or 1400 I put in, I made back like 1200 or something. I got like half of them right. I did as good as a coin would do, basically. I lost money. All right, is that what you want to hear? I fucking lost money. I'm not good at gambling. I lost money. So anyway, the gate agent's there. I'm like, hello, could I be a standby for this flight? She's like, it's a full flight. I'm like, that's okay. I'll just be a standby. And if I can't get on, that's fine. And she's like, okay, let me scan your ticket because I need to swap the ticket you have. And I'm like, ooh. So she scans it and she's like, Iowa? And I'm like, well, I had a different ticket. And she's like, I can't swap Iowa. And I was like, could you please? She's like, I literally just can't. No, I can't swap Iowa. I basically needed to keep my 10 a.m. ticket that I canceled to get a refund to swap to LA. So she's like, you're gonna have to go to customer service. So I'm like, fuck me. It's like 12 o'clock or some shit. I go to customer service. There's a line. I meet a fan there. His mother speaks nothing but Mandarin. I heard her. I was listening in. I was like, shishani. Okay, I got that. Everything else, understood nothing. And the customer service lady, the most helpful person I've ever met at the airport. I have never had an experience so great in my life. I explained everything to her. I told her about the 10 a.m. I told her how I tried to scam my way through. I told her why I had the Iowa flight. And she was like, oh, okay. Well, I'll just book you for LA at 6 p.m. and then I'll rebook you as a standby for 12:45. And she not only got me as a standby, she got me a seat on that flight. And I was like, this is amazing. And so I'm walking back. I'm clicking my heels on the way back. And it's kind of a long walk. So I'm clicking my fucking heels. I'm like filming a fucking TikTok on the way. I'm like bullshitting around. I see a neck pillow store. I'm like, why not splurge? I buy myself a neck pillow. I get to the gate and I'm like, one ticket for flight at 12:45. And the lady's like, where are you? We've been searching for you. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, it's closed. I'm like, what? She's like, yes, we closed the gate. We were searching for you. I ran. I was like, what do you mean it's closed? I was here. You know I was here. She's like, I knew you were here, but we closed it. I was like, what do you mean? I collapsed. It's the first time I've ever collapsed at an airport. That one song was playing in my head. I collapsed. I was like, ow, I'm such an idiot. I kept saying that. I kept saying, I'm such an idiot. And then she went to touch me on the shoulder, but I think I was too pitiful that she didn't even touch me. She just went down. She went, we rebooked you for 6. And I just kept going, I'm such an idiot. I felt like such a fucking lol cow. I felt like such a fat chungus. And so then I start moping around the airport with my stupid neck pillow. And I see there's one other flight I could be a standby on for 3 p.m. So I mope my way over. And I go over, and it's a United flight. And I look around, and I don't see a United customer service desk. So I go to an Air Canada flight to like Seattle. I'm like, hey, where's the United customer service desk? And she laughs. She goes, they don't have one. I was like, what? She's like, yeah. So I'm like, what do you do? She's like, find a United employee. I have to find a United airline rep. I just have to find one. Okay. So I'm like now stalking people. I'm like looking around. Eventually I find one. And I'm like, hey, could I be a standby for the 3 p.m. flight to Los Angeles? And she literally goes like this. She goes, no. Nice try. And I'm like, I'll be a standby. If I can't get on, that's okay. I'll just go to my flight. And she goes, no, honey, you don't understand. This is a chartered flight. And I went, I for sure don't understand, because what does that mean? And she went, let's just say that somebody has chartered this flight for themselves. It's private. You cannot get on here. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Fuck my chungus life. So I sit down just at a fucking random ass bar next to this terminal. And I'm just fucking sitting there drinking an iced tea, watching football on Buff streams. And then a lot of people in Dodgers gear start to show up. Hell of a game last night. Yeah, absolutely. Bottom of the 11th, you would not fucking believe what I said right before Yoshi struck him out. I'm looking around. I'm like, what the fuck is all this? And I'm quickly piecing together. This is a chartered flight by the Dodgers to get back to Los Angeles. I've wandered my way in to the inner circle, and they're all hanging out at this lounge that I was the only one sitting at like an hour before they arrived. So I'm piecing this all together. A guy sits down next to me, and I'm like, I'm trying to play it cool. I'm like, so what do you do? And he's like, assistant pitching coach. And I'm like trying to be chill about it. I'm watching the game on my phone. I'm like, so how'd you get Roki's pitch back? And he's like, man, let me rest. I was like, okay, my bad. My bad. And so he's like, what do you do? And I was like, YouTuber. And that always gets a little bit of a perk. And he's like, what do you do? And I was like, gaming. And he's like, what game do you play? What game are you best at? And I was like, I don't want to answer that. And he's like, well, no, like, what do you play? I was like, well, I do like challenge games, like where there's a mountain with no checkpoints. You have to climb to the top of the mountain. And he's like, oh, like Overwatch? And I was like, yeah, because I didn't want to explain how that's not close. And guess who fucking shows up, bro, to this section? But all the coaching staff, wives and kids of the players. Now, spoilers, Shohei did not show up. The players had taken a private, like Delta flight from a private terminal separate of the staff. They're not going through airport security. But it's still pretty fucking cool because it's like Dave Roberts. It's the broadcaster. It's the actual like broadcasters who broadcast the game. So anyway, it was cool. I got to meet a lot of them. I shot the shit. I played it cool. I didn't ask anyone for anything. I just said hello. And then they all went on the flight. Okay, we went our separate ways. You didn't ask to go on the flight? Oh yeah, I 100% did. Oh my God, yeah, sorry, I forgot. There was a staff member at the airport who recognized me. And I said, how you get on this flight? And he says, you have to be accepted by one of the Dodgers staff. And so I jokingly asked, hey, can I get on this flight? And they said, no. They said, no, obviously not. So I was like, yeah, of course. I was kidding. And I go back to my section. And then I have a crazy interaction. I go back to my section and I'm wearing my Dodgers gear. And this guy comes up to me and he gives me a fist bump. And I'm sitting next to this random guy because we're both next to a charging port. And he comes up to me and he gives me a fist bump and he says, go Dodgers. Fucking amazing game. And I was like, yeah, that game was awesome. And he was like, seriously, that game ruled. And I was like, that game ripped. And we were talking about like specific moments. And I was like, that double play, bottom of the ninth. And then the guy next to me finally speaks and he's like, it wasn't a double play. And I was like, it wasn't? He's like, I would know. I'm a Blue Jays fan. And I was like, oh, my bad. And then we just got, it's just some casual conversation. And then, they're like, what do you do? And so I'm like, I'm a YouTuber. And then they ask the questions. They're like, oh yeah, what do you do for YouTube? And I'm like, yeah, and they're like, oh, it's cool. And then the guy across from me, he goes, yeah, I'm an actor. And I was like, oh yeah, anything I would have heard of? The Pit. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess that's cool. And then we turn to the guy next to us, the Canadian. And we're both like, well, so what do you do? And he sits there for a moment. And he's like, it's not as cool. I'm a brain surgeon. What do you mean? You're a brain surgeon? And obviously, brain surgeon fucking wins. Obviously, brain surgeon wins this fight. It's the cooler business card. Okay, Paul Allen had the cooler business card that day. And I'm like, oh, that job's so awesome. And he's like, no, he's being a fucking brain surgeon about it. He's like, no, it has its stresses like any other job. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. I'm mad if I get a 10 out of 10 on a YouTube video. You're saving someone's life or they're dying on the operating table. The stakes aren't the same. They're just not. They're not. But anyway, we're in a group chat now. Me and my boys are in a group chat. It was random as hell. The actor was like, hey, let me get your number. I'm going to make a group chat. I'm going to call it the Brain Surgeon Dodgers. And I was like, that for sure was not thought of very thoroughly. But I'll accept this. And we got on the flight. And I can tell you the order of superiority, because the brain surgeon, we all walk on together. He's like, I should have gone for the earlier zone, but I don't really care about zones. Sits in the very front of the plane. Me, I'm at like row 30. The actor, keep walking, buddy, way back of the plane. A hierarchy has been formed on this day.